recording.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay,
That's
I
right.
got that. Got that again. This meeting is being recorded. I
That's
said,
right.
okay.
Okay, good. So let's try me sharing my screen again.
Okay.
And
I see you and I see your screen.
okay, you
I
can see
don't see
George
you.
Kuo.
I'm gonna click on my thing to see start video again on myself. Doesn't seem to be working, but anyhow, so I can see your screen. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can make this full screen. I had you before. I don't want to mess it up, but the button that I thought should have made it full screen didn't. Well, anyhow, I'm happy. I can see you in a small screen at the top, and I can see your screen. So let's, in the interest of getting some more good out of this, let's have you tell me, show and tell from your screen that I can see now.
All right. And there should be a diagonal up down arrow in the upper right corner of the little Zoom screen that should make it full size for you.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
You can see my little window here, so I'm going to open that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to do when I click on what would normally be the box. Well, it doesn't want to let me minimize it. It doesn't want to let me expand it full screen.
Okay.
And I hesitate to click it and close out what we finally got something to work.
So okay, now I see you're on. You finally connected on the other one.
Okay, well that's where I see it says join with computer audio.
Right.
And I'm gonna, since it says being recorded, I'm gonna say okay. I'm gonna say join with computer
now
audio.
I can see you. Okay,
That's
so you need to close out the audio on one of the two.
All right, let's see if I can. Try to mute it.
You can also cancel that other the other box where you see yourself. Just log out of that.
Where I see myself.
Okay. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, here we go. Remove. I'm going to remove you. Who do you want to report? I don't want to report anybody. Don't report. Okay. So now you'll have to unmute yourself. Yeah, I know, right? So unmute yourself now. At the bottom left of your Zoom screen is the microphone icon.
Okay.
Good.
Oh my God.
Yay.
Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You know, the frustration. It's every time you try to do something like this, you're like, this shouldn't be this hard.
I know it shouldn't be this hard. So
okay,
now you
we're
should be able to adjust your screen.
Well, I'm now going to go to make you very big. So
yeah,
now I've got a full screen
big.
view of you.
Yes.
And I'm not seeing your shared screen. I'm going
to. I stopped sharing.
Oh, okay. Try sharing again. See if that works. So I'm kind of back in the normal place where I see myself at the top in a little screen at the top.
That's it.
And that time it didn't say we crashed Zoom. Instead,
yay. Screen. All right. So in Discogs,
by the way, I think that key part of the missing puzzle piece was that the old version of Zoom I had was from 2 years ago when I was or 5 years ago, taking an online course through Boeing with MIT, and it was all done on Zoom, and that was probably maybe the only time I'd ever done Zoom, but I had never created the account like we have now. I mean, I didn't have like my own account. I don't remember now. Anyhow, so now I have an account and a password, and I can see you and I can see your page. Life is good for at least 45 minutes. Okay.
All right. So
ears.
Here's George.
Yeah.
And so here's the artist. You can hover over that, click on it to get a bio.
I'm not going to click on anything. I'm just going to sit here.
No, you're going to watch. So I'm walking you through. So here is the album title.
Yep.
And sometimes right underneath here, you have the album label, but it's not here, and we'll find
Right.
it down below. So I always ignore genre. I don't care. To
Oh
me,
my
the
God,
genre is,
there's
Oceania.
10 different genres that they offer, from folk to country to world to
Right.
internet. Anyhow,
So
okay.
Dancing Cat Records is saying that this was produced in the year 1996. It
Okay.
lists the entire track list, and some of the Discogs pages will show you minutes and some do
Yeah.
not.
Okay. Oh, I
Depends
see.
on who uploaded the information to the system.
Okay. Now I see yours. If you scroll down, okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
doing. If you scroll
So now
down,
we've got two different versions. We've
two
got a CD
versions,
album stereo,
which
and
is
then we have a
presumably what you were
cassette and an
on the
album.
cassette. Okay.
We have Dancing Cat Records
And
and
since it's
1996.
okay, so the same label. So basically, you'd say Dancing Cat Records and 1996, and you're good with what you need to know.
Right. And so I usually go with the one that says album. I know both that say album and they both say 1996. So there's confirmation there.
Yeah, and in my case, I'd use whichever one was CD, because that's all of my original sources are all CDs, my 500
Yes.
CDs or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Now you don't,
if
did
you
you click
hover,
on that? Do you
I'm
click on
sorry.
that from, are you clicking on his picture, that icon, for any
If
other?
you click on the picture, then you get the pictures that were probably taken from the album.
Oh, the liner notes in the front and back cover.
Yeah. And you can right click and you can save the image or you can copy the image. And I've done that before to maybe set up my own Word doc with their own bio.
Okay,
Um,
that's probably
so
greater
you can
than what
click
I'm
the
doing.
arrow. So they've, whoever uploaded this information decided to take a photo of the back.
Yeah, and they took it out of
And
the CD case and they laid it flat, so you see both end bars
right.
that were
But
displayed.
this page I don't know. This doesn't mean anything because you have a little bit of liner notes from uh,
Oh, I see. You
song
got like the first to the
12,
last
and
page.
then here's song 13. All right.
Okay, so it's partial, not
It's
complete.
partial information. And
Okay.
then there's an X way at the top right to close
Uh,
that out.
I'm not seeing, I don't know where you went to get that X.
Okay, I will pull this up again. So,
Oh, hang on. You know where, maybe just, I'm going to see if I can move the window where,
yeah, your window could be blocking it. So the top right is an
okay.
X.
Okay, that's good. I moved our window down to the middle lower right.
So
Excuse me.
now we're going to search for the Hui Ohana that you had mentioned before. So I typed in Hui Ohana
Okay.
and it will give you several selections. Now, sometimes you know exactly which album you want to choose.
Well,
So go ahead and
what if you
hover
just,
over that
well,
and
what if
click
you
on
just pick the
that.
very top one for the artist? That's what I did before to get them all.
So always the top selection will be artist, and that's
Yeah.
usually what I choose.
And then here, so they had 10 albums listed and 21 releases. So depending which one I was looking for, they didn't list it as an album, but it was under a release, if that makes sense.
Right. So for a moment, I'm just going to go walk through this again.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
here is Hui Ohana. I can click on their picture and get a blow up. Nobody took any other album information, but I could right click on this and save this image or copy this image.
Okay.
And then I'm going to X out of this. So here's their profile, and I click show more, and there's, one or
Oh,
two more lines.
okay, that's good. I didn't notice that before.
Mhm. If you're interested in another member, you could click on that member and be taken to that page. Let's do that now.
Well,
So
it's
here is
interesting.
Dennis Pavau's page.
Okay.
But right now we're going to focus on Hui Ohana. So I'm going
Yeah.
to click my browser's back
No,
button.
it's good. I just noticed that when they showed, they crossed them out when they're dead. So Dennis Pavau has passed away decades ago, and Edward passed away a year or two ago. And
Mhm.
so Ledward's the one remaining alive. So that's probably
Correct.
what their crossouts mean.
Correct.
Okay.
And if you're not happy with what you see down here, then you can click one of these two, and sometimes you'll get more information.
Oh, there's different spellings with the
Different spellings, exactly.
apostrophes. Oh, okay.
So So they don't always list every album, but they've listed a pretty good selection here.
Yeah. Well, right now, you're on the 21 releases. You're not on the 10 albums. So you should see the complete list if you keep scrolling down. I noticed you're not on the album
Yes.
releases. So
Well,
that's
remember, this is also a teaching video, so I'm not going quickly. I'm
okay.
going to talk about this a little bit more thoroughly. So
Okay.
the first album that they list is always chronological from oldest to the newest. So
Okay.
1972, they produced this on the Lehua label. So there's your, and then down here, there's Pokey Records. So they released, they must have switched contracts from Lehua to Pokey. You can click on, we're going to click on this, and that pulls up this album. And it, so it says more images, which means somebody has taken the time to photograph and upload multiple images of this particular album.
Okay.
Not necessarily helpful often,
Yeah.
but they've done it. So I'm just kind of walking you through.
Okay. This is great.
Here is
Thank you.
the name of the group, and if you hover, you get a profile.
Okay.
And then here is the album title. Here's the track list. You'll notice that there are no minutes.
Yeah.
So the song length has not been added. That's okay.
Okay.
And then here are the different versions of the album as it was released. Here's an updated. See, this would be been the CD release, this
Yeah.
1998.
Got it. And so if you were doing it on the radio station, if I knew I had the CD and that's where I got mine, should I use the CD as the source?
I use the album. I use the first version that I can find
Okay.
as the information.
Okay.
So
So we
I
want the original release date for the
correct.
original thing, even if my copy came out 16, even if my sound audio track came from the CD 18 years later or whatever. Okay.
Yes.
I understand what
Yes.
you're saying. So use the first release. Got it.
Yes, and that's what I've done is I mostly own CDs, although I do own quite a few albums, but I will always take the original release, and that would
Okay.
be 1972. For some reason I can't highlight this. So
Okay.
I'm going to hit the browser's back button because I want to get back to that list of Hui Ohana that we started with. So here's Hui Ohana, here's a list of the albums, and now they're listing singles and EPs. And now they're
Okay.
listing compilations.
Okay. And some of those were where it got interesting. I have a couple of those compilations. And if you click on for anyhow, if you want to look at Magic Islands,
Yep.
rediscovering the best of,
Yes.
that ended up being unusual because they talk about where they reissued this particular thing as a CD, but they took the songs from three different albums to make like a best of.
Yes. Yes. And so you bring up a really good point. This is something that we need to be we'll have to do a little research as a DJ in order to upload the actual original song on the original album. So when you have a compilation, a best of, so Hanalei Moon, well, what album did that come off of? We need to find that. And unless you really have researched and researched, and I'll show you how to research, if you
Okay.
can't figure out where Hanalei Moon was for the first album it was put on, then
By
you
that
will
group.
list
Yeah.
Hui Ohana's Magic Islands. You'll put in that
Oh,
data.
if you can't figure it out, then use the one that you know you got it
Exactly.
from. Okay.
A classic example is Frank DeLima. Some of his are compilation or best of albums, but they were never released anywhere else. And so you would list
Oh,
that compilation album as the original album.
yeah. Yeah, I've got some things like that too from say Led Kapana puts out a CD of some of his favorite tracks or his live show and he sells them at a concert. I've got a couple that I bought, but they were never released. So they're just his. I mean, it's released by him here, buy this from me, but it's not ever out there, in the wider world. The only source was direct from his back pocket to your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, for example, let's find out the album that Hanalei Moon came from. There's a couple of ways to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it in Discogs,
Okay.
but you can also do it as an internet search.
Okay. Elaine, before you leave this screen, I just wonder if you want to scroll down to the bottom is where I think I saw their descriptions about, yeah, go back up a little, where they talked about where that came from, like so the 6 through the 8 LP,
Okay,
to give you some of that.
yes, that's true. They did. So, whoever uploaded this, thank goodness they did put this information in. That's great.
So I knew it was there, but I didn't read it all before, and I wasn't trying to find that particular song. But I just thought you might find what you need to know there instead. But
Mhm.
now we know it's there. Still, feel free to go show me your other way of finding it. Because what if, like you say, if they didn't have that and they just said compiled from 3 different albums, and you were
Right.
trying to find it. So let's go back to your showing from
Okay.
the song title how to get it.
Okay. So let's going back to the example of Hanalei Moon. I, it's a little ponderous, but you hit the back browser button to get back to the long list of their albums. And then I start at the top. I click on the album. I look at the track list. No Hanalei Moon. I hit the
Oh,
browser's back button. Now I'm going to go to the second album.
I see.
So
So you're going to go through in chronological order until the first one it shows up on
until I can find it. So it is a little ponderous, but you
there.
know,
Okay.
you should be able to catch it.
And you would do that before the idea of going out and trying to search the bigger internet because you're already like a great source of all the music news.
Yeah,
You
because
start here.
I think because I know how to do this,
Okay.
this can be easier, but they have a lot of albums to go through.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's going to take a long time and maybe I'll do it in it just,
Well, I think it's
the
probably going
flavor
to,
of the day.
yeah.
What do you feel like doing?
There
Oh,
it is. There it
there it
shows up
is.
once.
There it is. So this is the original release. So the
At least
original
an A
release
was
was
released.
called Ono,
Okay.
and that's the information. It was produced in 1976. And if we scroll down, here's the original. I'm just looking at the top one.
Okay.
Oki Records is the label in
And all of those have
1976.
the same label. So that's,
Yeah.
and they all show the same year. Okay.
Yes, correct.
And you say they have multiple versions of the song, like they do once and then they like Israel Kamakaviva Ole has a couple of different versions released from studio, different signals. Are you happy enough if you just find the first version, and say, okay, that's close enough? You don't worry about, oh, if it
Yeah.
also came out on another release or another release.
Yeah. Brother is a really good example of, he's released live versions. He's released ukulele versions. He's released full orchestrated versions of the same song.
After he was dead, yeah.
And it depends on which version you're playing. So if you're playing the live concert version, you need to find that
Okay. Yeah. And
and
if you know
put that
that,
original data in.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I knew the one thing like that song Hanalei Moon, the main singer on most of these Julio Hanna stuff is Dennis Pavao. And on Dennis Pavau's own self-released things, not with a group, just his self-titled or under his own name, he's also put out versions of Hanalei Moon. And then it's also been released on some other best of Hawaiian hula composites, compilations. So, okay,
Right. So you're going to just use this same process to find the original release of the artist that you're. So if it's a Dennis Pavao, Hanalei Moon, you need to find it under Dennis Pavao, not under Julio Hanna.
right. And in this case, of this one, that say if I was putting it on my song list, and I'm saying, oh yeah, this is Julio Hanna, and so I'm not definitely would use the Julio Hanna version
Mm-hmm.
because I know that's what I got as far
Mm-hmm.
as what,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm using. And if I was to be playing Dennis Pavao's version from one of 2 different CDs that he had it on, I would definitely list the right one of where I'm getting it.
That's great.
Luckily, I have everything on my laptop, and I also everything from the laptop is on an iPod and another iPod that's anyhow. I have a couple of iPods loaded, and I have still the original of everything on this laptop, which is part of the reason I hesitate to upgrade or do anything to change this laptop I've got until I figure out a way to back the whole thing up onto my server because I would cry some serious tears if I lost access to these 2,500 album CDs I have in my iTunes.
Yes, you definitely need to back that up onto your large portable hard drive for
Yeah.
sure. That should be a
Okay.
priority for you.
Yeah. Well, today,
Okay,
go ahead. Continue
let's
on.
let's go to Jeff Peterson because you mentioned trying to look him up. Oops.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's the
And here you've got a listing of, oh my gosh, but you know what? Here's a picture of him right here.
oh.
So I'm going to click on this.
Oh, okay. That's good. And it seems to be showing you different versions than what I got when I looked, but I don't know. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. I'm happy that you got a version that shows the picture so we can open the right thing.
Right. And you
Okay.
notice there's a number 2. So it means that there's more, probably more pages with him on it. It also gives a website. And that's pretty cool because for those who don't know Jeff Peterson, the bulk of what he sells and teaches is on his website, not randomly on the internet.
Right.
He
And I
keeps a
know he's
tight
got,
hold of his product. So
right.
scrolling down, here's a list of some of his albums.
Then maybe even the first.
And if you notice,
Well, that's the
um,
one with Riley Lee, but that was the one I was thinking of was called Haleakala. It's about six
yes,
down.
yes, Haleakala is down here.
Okay.
And if you notice, the artist is always listed as Riley Lee first and Jeff Peterson second.
I hadn't gotten to here. So
Oh, you hadn't gotten to here.
no, that's the thing. I couldn't find the right Jeff Peterson. I tried like five different ones and none of them were him. And then I was searching his name and a
Yes,
bunch of
yes,
weird stuff that wasn't what I wanted.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, why are you saying is it just happenstance that Jeff is always listed second on these? You just know that they always list Riley.
On his collaboration CDs, he's always listed second,
Oh, okay.
even though he's producing it. The album is Jeff Peterson. The album label is Jeff Peterson Productions, but he is always listing himself second.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have because I haven't been here. If you want to use this as an example to show me any more things, because I've never been to, I haven't. Today's my first day ever using Discogs, and I couldn't successfully get here. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to, whatever you think is the right direction to go to share more info with me about whether it's this or a different thing. Uh,
Yeah, so
I don't
let's
want to
look
interrupt.
at the album labels since you mentioned sharing. So we've got Hula Records International, Jeff Peterson Productions, Palm Records, and UA Records. If I click on any of these, it will take me within Discogs to the general listing of that album label. So let's check Hula Records. I'm going to click on Hula Records.
Okay.
And it tells you a little bit about who founded it. You can click the show more and get more of a bio. And then you're going to get, it says 306
Yeah,
selections.
that's what I thought you were going to come up with a big number. Okay.
Exactly. So there's a big number because this is all of Hula Records artists and labels that they produce. Now I'm going to click the browser's back button
Okay.
to get back to Jeff Peterson, or maybe not. There we go. I'm going to click on Hula Records International. I've never been to that site. And we have only 7
Okay.
listed. I'm going to click the browser's back button.
Okay.
And it's not cooperating. It needs a double click for some reason. Now I'm going to go to Jeff Peterson Productions.
Okay.
And we have only 2 listed here. Like I said, Jeff keeps tight rein on his product. So he is selling everything off of his website. So it's nice that we can get some information on Discogs about Jeff Peterson, but don't be surprised that you won't find a lot of information uh,
Huh, okay.
available for Jeff. Now I'm going to click on Palm Records.
Well, okay. I was gonna say I noticed there was Jeff Peterson Productions, and then there was another one that was Peterson Productions. It was also him with like the Slacky Travels or Slacky something.
hmm
Okay, so now
And
we're
there
on
are
Palm.
23 selections from Palm Records,
Okay.
and here they all are. And you notice that it's Kohala. Well, I
Yeah.
know that Kohala is produced by Palm Records. Kohala and Palm Records are the same because Charles Michael Brotman,
Right.
one of the two members of Kohala, is a record producer, and his label, his company, is Palm Records.
Okay. I didn't know it was Palm Records, but I knew Charles Michael Brotman had his own label and his own recording studio or used to.
Yes. And Charlie Ricardo, who is his partner, his the
Is he,
duo of Kohala, he is also a record producer, but does not have his own label, which
is
I
he
find interesting.
well, is he still alive? I know, isn't he the one who had a terrible car crash some years ago, I think, or had a bad accident that he recovered from it, I know. Whatever health crisis, let me rephrase that. I believe he had a health crisis and he did recover from it and survive through that. That was just some number of years
There's
ago.
Keiki Lindsay of
No, that I know that.
Honey that had
Yeah,
that horrible car
no, I
crash.
know that story. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, so he has a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
So he's no longer performing, unfortunately.
But I see here's the just surprising to me to notice that there's like Kahula Nui was on there, at least one of their albums. And they've had a couple, Kahula Nui's had a couple albums come out.
hmm
Right near the top of the list was Kahula Nui.
hmm
But
Yeah. For some reason, my mouse is freezing. There we go.
yeah, they're in the middle. Kahula Nui, Hula Kai,
Oh, Hula Kai, Kui.
Hula
This was
Kui.
their very first release. Yes. Yeah. So those are some ways
The
to
search
work
within.
around within Discogs.
Okay.
There is an advanced function. So I think you have to type something in before you get to advanced. So let's just say Amy Hanaya Lee. Oops, my cursor wasn't in the right place.
And there's different spellings of her name too, Hanili, or
Exactly. So here's artist, which is what I tend to click on,
yeah.
unless you know which one you want.
Well, on some of them I've got a number of I've got all the first four or five of those listed there.
Right. Now you
And this
notice the
one I've never
variation of
seen.
spelling. Look how many
Oh my
iterations she's
gosh.
had in her career.
Okay. Wow. And
Yeah.
then the different what's using Okina
But
is it
be but because I clicked on the artist herself, not a specific album, then I have everything I need on this.
and
Um,
12 releases or 12
well,
albums.
12 that they're showing, she's produced more. And
Oh.
12 are on Discogs.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
She's more
Because
prolific than
they're not
this.
going to have everything. They will have a lot. You can't say they're the definitive source.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
She's still recording, and this is the last one entered is 2015.
Oh, okay.
So it just depends on the artist.
Scroll down again just for a minute while we're here. Look for the one where she had her and the Hawaiian Masters or something. Oh, there
Oh,
it is.
right
I
here,
see it.
this one right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was still quite a while ago, 2010. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. So here's where it lists the label at the top,
and Peterson
which
perspective.
is nice. And then Peterson Production. So we could click on that, but we're only going to find those two listings because we already went to that website. And that's
Well, no, we went to Jeff Peterson Productions. We didn't go to Peterson Productions, I think.
yeah, but oh, that's true. So now they're listing four under Peterson Productions.
Yeah, that's what I had noticed was strange when we had him up originally. I was like, well, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
So there
changed his
are
name too.
multiple ways to work within Discogs.
Okay.
And again, you can click on the photo, and it looks like somebody's taken a picture of the front and back,
Oh, that's nice. Because
which
all the
can
people there that we know or I
it
know.
can be helpful. Yes.
Yeah, this is great. The part it was great that I had never heard of Discogs before. Um, and I can see it's a great tool. Oh my gosh, because you can search for all sorts of things. Want additional albums that somebody put out that you really like? You want to try and track it down. And every now and then I'll hear of an album, so I'll hear a song and go, hey, who's that? What? I don't know that. And
Mhm.
then I'll go and search for that group or whatever thing, and then go hunt. Once I found the actual name of the real album, then I'll go plug it into eBay and see if I can buy it from somebody for $5 or whatever. So,
So All Music is another guide. Um, it doesn't allow pop-ups, and I have a pop-up blocker. Um, so you could disable your pop-up blocker. So sometimes All Music, see, it's telling me I have an ad blocker, but I'm not going to disable it because I actually have found much more information on Discogs than I've ever found on All Music. Um,
so
so
were you
I don't
saying you don't use an ad blocker? You have one, but you don't use it when
know.
you're on
I
All Music.
have pop-up blockers as as
The
security for
default. Yeah.
my my own system. But prior to having pop-up blockers, I did use All Music, but I found it a very frustrating experience. They don't have as much information as Discogs.
Okay.
So now
With
that I have a
similar
pop-up
information.
blocker, I do not disable it for this site that does not serve me well. But it is another resource if you choose to use it.
Okay.
It's called All Music.
Elaine, do you ever find yourself looking for the lyrics to a certain song? I've gone various times in search of
Yes.
lyrics.
What I do is I type in I usually copy and paste the name of the song and then the word lyrics.
I mean, just as a Google search, not on a specific
Mhm.
website. That's what I was wondering if
So
you use
Hawaii,
it.
let's just try Hawaii Ao and then lyrics.
Okay.
Now, Huapala is your best lyrics resource
Really?
because it's authentic Hawaiian
Oh, wow.
researched. The words, it says words by and Peter Moon, music by Peter Moon. It has the Hawaiian, it has the translation. And down here, it tells you who translated it. And it often has about the song,
This is great. I'd never heard of Hua Paula.
Huapala,
Okay.
Huapala. I'll go back to my search. So Huapala is a fantastic resource for
Okay.
lyrics. Um, but then you can get lost in all this other stuff. Like you could go to kalena.com, but it's
It's
not going
also
to
under
give
Hua
you
Paula.
specific, I don't know. Oh,
Well,
it's
I could
referring
see
you
it was
back
still,
here.
it was under that same
It was
name.
under Huapala.
Yeah.
um, this is probably your best bet at finding. So then I leave the word lyrics in, and then what's another
Um,
song?
uh, Wahine Ilakea. There you go.
Again, Huapala comes up, which is good. There's a blog by Dennis
By
Kamakawi. So
Dennis. Okay.
you might get information off of that. And I will often look at a couple of these, but I always go to Huapala first.
Oh,
So
this
it was
is
by
great.
Dennis
Great.
Kamakahi. Here is the Hawaiian. Here is the English. And then here is a little bit about the song. So often that information goes into my mic break. I might pick out a couple of pieces of information out of this and talk about this song
Yeah.
in a way that you haven't heard it on the radio before.
Yeah, I've had four, at least three times, probably four or five times. I've talked about that song with Dennis, or had him I've talked to him about it personally. Him and I like two or three times talking about it, but then at least two or three times in concerts had him tell stories about it. And so over the years, I've heard like different versions of how it came to be and different descriptions of it. And anyhow, it's one of my favorite songs. So I'm happy to know about this new website. If you go back one and then go forward again where you said Dennis's blog.
Yeah, but before we do that, I'd like to extrapolate on something you said, which was I'm saying your words. I talked to Dennis about this song in person. That is gold. That's more than gold. That's platinum in the world of broadcasting. Telling personal stories about the artist, the musician, the music. Maybe you spoke to the musician at the concert. I share that on the radio. Tell people that. That just draws people in way more than just saying something about the song.
Okay.
So
Well,
say, well, when I had the privilege of talking with Dennis at this concert or this festival, we discussed this part of, and he told me this, and that makes a fabulous mic break.
okay. All right. Now, if I start doing those, I may have to, you had written down in your spreadsheet what you're going to say so that you know what to say. You don't improvise.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a tendency to get off on tangents or overly wordy. I can tell the story. I'll be telling us one story and go off on another and off into the weeds. And so if I'm going to try and tell something like the story of, talking to Dennis Kamakahi, that would be a prime example of I should write out my remarks first,
Mm.
proofread it, correct it, make sure, is this the version I want to tell? Is it really true? Wait,
Mm-hmm.
wait, I'm exaggerating something he said,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise I could be like Dennis himself. He'd spend 5 minutes telling you the background of a song that only took 2 or 3 minutes to play.
Mm-hmm.
That happened
Mm-hmm.
way often. There's numerous times he would spend as long or longer telling you the history of a song, and it was
Yeah.
always fascinating. He was
Yeah.
such a fascinating songwriter person.
Yes. Yes.
If I talk about him too much, I start to tear up.
Oh.
But
Well, here's my well, this is not. So
yeah,
let's go to
spreadsheet for
October
November.
October 5th. So this is a show that we did on October 5th. And so my songs are in blue. I know I had this on the on a previous video that you watched.
Right.
And then my mic break is in black. So I this is where you would write out your story that what you want to say about Dennis
Yeah.
or the song or Dennis and the song. And then again my next mic break. So
Now,
yeah.
if you were using this was your breakout of your spreadsheet of your whole program, where I know you've got the name and the date and the mic breaks and your notes, when you go to put this on that Spintronic or whatever the
Spinatron, yes.
Spinitron, do you just take the things that you know, oh yeah, I'm only going to cut and paste the lines that are in blue? And so you start at like line 6 and then you take
Yes.
line 14 to 17, because obviously you're not going to put your notes or anything. You don't want this whole spreadsheet on Spintronic.
Right. So there are two answers. It's just like everything in life. There are more than one answer. So the first answer is I actually take and copy. So I'm going to copy and paste. I don't copy and paste these top lines. I just start with the first song and then I just scroll down and I copy all this. I'm just going to do it now. I'm going to copy this.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. You
Now at the bottom,
thing.
do you see this tab, the purple tab that says playlist?
Yeah.
Now I've already done it here, but I would paste the whole thing in and then I would just cut out all my mic breaks Now I'm left with,
or cut out all your notes and stuff too.
I
So
cut out all my notes. And now I just have music in here. I have the words mic break, but I don't care.
okay. Oh, and that's okay too, because I see on the playlist sometimes it will say mic break. It'll have song, song, mic break, song,
But
song, mic.
that's not where this comes from.
Oh, okay.
You actually create a specific, it's a piece within Spinitron that you actually specifically choose a top of the hour or you choose a mic break
Okay.
and then you fill it out. But what I now do is I just take all of this, copy and paste it into Spinitron in one bulk thing. So
Okay.
there's no line by line entries. And it's quick and easy. It's super quick and easy. And I drop that into Spinitron and it separates it out for me.
And a Spinitron, that your default settings for artist, song, LP, album.
That's why you need this because that's what Spinitron
Okay.
requires.
So it's predetermined when you paste this in,
Yes.
it's dropped into those categories. So you always want your categories exactly as you showed them.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to Spinitron now. Here is Spinitron.
Okay.
I already have an account. You do not until you get fully vetted by Bellevue College and KBCS.
Okay. And so the Spinitron account is through KBCS. You have access to their
That's correct. As you
Spinitron.
can see, my email is at bellevuecollege.edu. And once you're vetted, you will get a Bellevue College email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm going to log in. And here are my playlists.
Hey, by the way, that was a nice picture of you at the top on the right. That was a nice
Oh,
smile. It's about probably 10 or 15 years ago, but
it is. It's when I was first, I was a baby GJ.
okay.
So here are all the things I've created.
Wow. That's a that's a long list, and we're
So
still
I
not
started we started Spinitron in October of 21.
okay. But you've been at KBCS for like another 10 years beyond that, right?
Yeah, the station was using a different kind of playlist, which wasn't meant for streaming, and so they
Okay.
purchased Spinitron sometime in 21, and that's when we began
Right.
utilizing this service.
Okay.
And it's Spinitron is found on multiple, but not all, community radio stations across the country. Usually, the big boys don't use this; they use a more robust system. So at the top, next to the word Spinitron, is playlist and schedule. Usually, what I do is I simply, and by the way, this is an overview. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
expecting you to
no.
retain any of this information, but
Okay.
I would hit schedule and then I would find the date of my next broadcast.
How do you, oh, are you looking at all of KBCS's
This is
shows?
all of KBCS.
Okay.
So I need to find here's Saturday, and here's the Hawaii Radio Connection down here. And I would
Hang
simply,
on. Wait, before you click, because I went down, I saw Gospel Highway. Just a second. I'm going to move our window again because now we're back where I shoved my screen. Okay, we're good. Now I can see Hawaii Radio Connection and who the different people are. Okay.
right. So here's the different broadcasters.
Okay.
Your name will show up here one day, Neil.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I'm not there yet, but
No,
we're
you're not there
okay.
yet. So this is for Saturday the 19th. That's not my Saturday, so I'm not going to mess up their Saturday, but I'm going to
Oh,
choose.
because anybody that's got access could go in and modify anybody's
Yeah.
playlist.
So I'm just gonna I
Okay.
am gonna be on November the no
Well, you can go back to the last one you did if you want. Just go back to like October the 4th or whatever it was.
so I'm gonna be on November the 2nd. So I'm just gonna click here
Okay.
and I'm gonna say new playlist.
Okay. Because you know it didn't exist yet. It's your show and
Right,
you.
I'm creating it.
Okay.
So this is already filled in Hawaii Radio Connection. It's a music category, not a talk show. It's already filled in with, so you don't have to fill any of this in. If you want to, you can say, whatever you want to say here. You could name the episode, you could say no November,
Hula and chant, or it could be just
um,
variety.
Slack Key Festival.
Oh, yeah,
Because
that sounds good.
that's what this show will be. It'll be Slack Key Festival focus. And
Okay.
then I'll say submit. And here is where, if you're struggling to find the label, that's usually the biggest struggle we have, is to find the record label, is you could handwrite in an artist, the song, the album name, and it should search and find the label for you. Doesn't always.
Oh,
But I don't do this. I don't do line by line anymore. What
no,
I
that
do
was
is I hit this import.
okay.
I hit import, and then I copy and paste this in.
And this, you would paste this in here too, the
This
same
is
as.
my spreadsheet that I copied and pasted. It looks like a mess in here, doesn't it?
Well, I was gonna say it's got all your notes too, so
No, it does not have my notes.
it's got
Oh, it
something.
does, because it didn't copy and paste, but it doesn't matter, because only things associated with a timestamp will be allowed in Spinitron. So you could copy and paste everything in here.
I see. And then if you hit process, it'll filter it all
And you
out.
hit process, which I'm not going to do.
Oh, because you don't. Also, this is not the show you want to do for them.
Mm-mm, no.
Okay.
So I'm going to not play around with them.
Right.
So apparently it didn't copy and paste this, but this is
Well, you had.
this is number one. This is what I use all the time.
Okay.
And then the number two possibility for you is to copy and paste the whole thing with your liner notes, your mic break notes, which is what ended up in Spinitron when I was just demoing that to you.
Yeah.
Either way, unless it is associated with this D column with a timestamp, it will not show up in your final process in Spinitron.
Okay.
But again, this is an overview, Neil, so don't get
I'm not.
overwhelmed by
Yeah,
this
I'm not.
information.
I'm not too worried about it. I do want to mention to you in case I don't know if you have a business. If you have anything scheduled at 3 o'clock or just a couple of minutes till
Yeah,
three.
we just have a couple minutes left. So let's get back to Discogs. And you had wanted me to go back to something here.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if it was under Amy. You did okay with. I mean, we by looking at Jeff Peterson and looking at him and Riley Lee and different productions, different. I think I've got that okay,
Good.
and at
So,
least I've got enough now to be able to start playing around more.
yes,
Because, like I said, I got the spreadsheet and I know my version of what was going to be one of my first shows, which for better or worse may as well be one of my first shows that I work on creating. You know what I mean? If you got to start somewhere.
right. So I am going to pull up Audacity.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I that's something I have not been able to get to yet. And I thought you did a nice job of the over. You had an overview and then a little more in depth, or maybe even a third. You had two
Yeah,
or three versions of videos of using it, and it was very helpful. That's why I felt like, boy, you're really a master of explaining things.
good.
So that
So
was
when you get your Audacity up and running, this is your blank slate. You're going to go into audio setup,
okay.
click it, and go to recording device to confirm. See, it's not recognizing this is my microphone. So I'm going to select that microphone, and I can just go to recording device. And yes, it has selected the microphone I'm currently using.
Okay.
So when I record in my closed closet, which is the best place to record because it absorbs sound and there's no echoing or extra noises, then on my laptop, I hook up this current microphone, this guy right here,
Okay.
with the pop filter.
Yeah.
Get rid of the popping P's.
And you had something, didn't you, that you had that whole thing isolated from your desktop. You were saying you mounted it on like a telescoping arm so it was
It's
isolated again.
it's ideal if you do that. Yes.
Okay.
So I make sure that when I connect my microphone to my laptop, that I have selected this microphone versus the microphone in the laptop, which is cheesy and gives terrible sound.
Yeah, I unfortunately right now I know I if I have a microphone and I by itself sort of thing, it's a cheesy one from an old cassette recorder or something. I used to have two very high quality, expensive recording studio microphones that were like $400 for the two of them, and I sold them to somebody years ago for like, oh yeah, for $75. Yeah, you can have them. I'm never using them. So I don't have any really nice mic anymore. So I will probably end up having to avail myself of things like what you were showing, but I won't be buying that in the next week or
Yeah,
two.
you can go to Buzzsprout and research
Go to what?
that. I mentioned that in the videos. Go to Buzzsprout,
Oh, Buzz.
Buzzsprout,
Okay.
and they have a great article that they keep current on uh, low end, medium, and high end recording equipment that they recommend for. It's a podcasting site, but it works for radio broadcasting at home.
Okay, that's good. I used to buy a lot of audio and video and recording sort of equipment from a place out of New York. I think it was called B plus H. Uh, I forget the last thing after B plus H audio or B plus H electronics, but it's a huge discounter of every type of recording equipment you could possibly imagine, from cameras to from low end, you know, I don't know, from very low end stuff to stuff way beyond the scale of anybody we know what they're going to pay for buying something. But okay, so I will think of looking at that too. I think I will play or not play. I will work with Discogs and the Excel spreadsheet and get a show plugged in there and think about, okay, how long is it going to be? Could I find all the information? Oh, maybe some notes of what I would actually say, so I can be closer to having a show ready to go, even if I don't yet have uh, Audacity or a different version. I will have to address that issue of either fixing one of the computers I have to get it uh, so it'll take the so I can get the right software to have that missing file inserted in my computer. And the other one advantage, since I have two computers, and the one I really care about, and I have the other one that doesn't really have anything on it. The one I care a lot about is practically full. More it's just hugely filled hard drive, whereas the one that I hardly ever use for anything has like all the space in the world available because I never actually use it for much other than lightweight travel. But it also makes it the ideal candidate to be the guinea pig of, oh, let me try downloading the file first there and trying to get that one to work. And if I can't get that one to work and I decide, oh, I'm going to upgrade to Windows 11 or whatever, well, that would be the right one to try on the computer that doesn't really have anything I care about. If it crashed and was irretrievable, I wouldn't suffer in the same way I'd suffer if I lost the one I'm on with all my library. Oh, and also, as you mentioned, finding my hard drive, my terabits, 12, 10 or 12 terabit server that's in a closet here somewhere, pulling that out and hooking it up and getting that thing up and running and backing up my files would be good. Really good. And also, it set me on the pathway too, where each time we get it out to think we're going to do it, it's because we're trying to do something with all the family photos. And then we find different versions of, oh yeah, we bought the scanner and we were going to scan the family photos. Like realizing that I've never followed through getting all my uh, high definition pictures, let alone high definition video, or let alone lower definition video. I have yet to use the server for the purpose for which I bought it. So
Right.
this in the next month is hopefully my ideal window. Boeing's still out on strike, and I'm thinking we'll be out on strike for at least a few more weeks. I sure hope we're not out on strike all the way into the new year, because that would be a painful crunch. But
Okay,
anyhow,
Neil. So this should be the end of our teaching video.
thank you,
And
Elaine. I'm glad we got there. I'm glad we could get the Zoom to work.
me too. Me
And
too.
sometime between now and our next scheduled Zoom, we should try again just to see see if when you're not busy and I'm busy, not busy where we text or phone, say, hey, you got a few minutes? Yeah, let's just try that again, and just try the simple thing of get me logged into my Zoom, get you sending me an invite, and see if we can get back on more easily than what we went through today. I'm not 100% convinced. I mean, I know we're there now, but I'm not sure we could get here again by the same pathway I finally took. So we'll try that
So
again.
why don't you complete um, your updating of your laptop so that it's got a Windows 10 or 11?
Well,
And
that's a further project, though. That's the thing where I say I would do that on the other
you'll need
laptop.
that to be able to upload or download Audacity.
Well, I got it wasn't the Audacity that was the problem, it was the missing file on the old version, but I
But
hear what you're saying.
you will need a better, trust me, you'll do better if you have the higher Windows, meaning you can use the higher Audacity software. There is one for lesser versions of the older versions of Windows, but
Yeah,
I
and
don't recommend it. It's hard to work with.
that's the one that I ended up getting that I couldn't get it to load was like version 2.3.3 was
Exactly.
specific
So,
to Windows 7 and Windows 8.
right.
So in that interest, what I would try first, I'll use the laptop that I don't use for much of anything as the guinea pig, and try upgrading that first, and see if everything can go seamlessly there. And I'll also try and back up my existing one I do use to save all these files that are on it that I would cry if I had I wouldn't
Right.
want to have to recreate my.
So let's meet after you've done those two things.
Okay, sounds good.
If you have questions, you can contact me in the meantime, but let's Zoom after you've made those upgrades.
Okay. And today was good. Today I'm a little less stressed than the stress I've been under for a month and a half. And so I'm going through some rough patches between my rental property and our taxes and funds. And